got a really cool mod for my STI. I got the X-Force Varex catback installed. I've had it for about a week now, so I'm gonna do a full review, tell you how the installation went. I have some video clips and sound clips for you, and I'm gonna take you along and hopefully you get a good idea of what it's like to own or live with this catback. So first, let's start out with what I did not like about this exhaust. And pretty much the only thing I did not like is the initial fitment. So I did have problems installing it. First thing I'm gonna start with is the bolts that connect to the downpipe. Now I have a Cobb downpipe, and it's one of the older ones where it goes from 3" and it goes down to 2.5" like a factory downpipe would be. So the bolts that came with the X-Force exhaust did not quite fit. Now the factory exhaust has those spring bolts and they're a little longer and kind of skinnier, but the bolts that came with the X-Force are thicker. I ended up having to use different bolts to get it connected to the factory or the aftermarket downpipe I have.
I ended up using aftermarket bolts in order to get it to connect properly.
So the second issue I had was fitting on the mid-pipe. Now, in the middle of the car, there is a section before it wides out to each individual muffler that kind of comes on and is clamped on with like a muffler clamp or an exhaust clamp. That leaked for me. I couldn't get it tight. I couldn't get it secured on there so it wasn't leaking or making a weird noise. So I ended up having to go to an exhaust shop, and I'll get to that in just a second. So that part leaked pretty bad.
And this is the weld that had to be done in order to make sure that this pipe connects properly.
So lastly, I did have an issue with the end of the exhaust. So this would be where it wides out and each individual muffler is bolted onto. So the bolts were fine, and I think the gaskets were actually fine too. But the issue that I had was the mufflers didn't want to hang properly and evenly. So inside of the rear diffuser area, the mufflers were kind of crooked and off to one side versus the other. And they also didn't want to bolt up properly to the Y pipe. I don't know if it was just my mufflers or because I bought this secondhand from someone that was used for like a few thousand miles. So the fix for this was I ended up going to an exhaust shop, and they ended up welding the mid pipe for me instead of using an exhaust clamp. So that fixed any leaks there. And they cut the flanges in the rear where it wides out, and they ended up just doing a straight piece of pipe in order to get the exhaust to fit properly.
All right, so here's a clip of what I'm talking about. This area right here would be where the flanges would kind of bolt up to with the muffler, but this had to be deleted in order to get these mufflers to sit properly inside of my diffuser.
So yes, I did have some issues getting it installed, unfortunately. A lot of catbacks, aftermarket stuff, do kind of come with risks. You're not getting the OEM quality, or you're not getting the OEM fitment, unfortunately. Now, I think I may have just got a bad one, because I've seen a lot of people say that they have good success with installing this. But I just unfortunately didn't, and I'm gonna be completely transparent and let you guys know that I didn't have a good time installing it. I ended up paying a muffler shop like $150 in order to get everything fixed up on here. So that wasn't too bad at the end of the day. And I did buy this used, like I said, and I'm not blaming the previous seller. It seemed to work totally fine on their car. It could just be my car. So I did end up coming out ahead versus buying one brand new. So I am overall pleased with that. Now let's get to what everyone really cares about here. The sound on this exhaust is awesome. So when the valves are open and in the free-flowing mode, it sounds really nice, really deep, and has a great rumble. You really do hear the exhaust. Now I do have a catted downpipe from Cobb on my Subaru, so it definitely gives it a little more of tone. I am super pleased. It has no drone in the on or off mode, that being valves open or valves closed. I have zero drone either way, and the outside volume is almost always exactly what you want it to be. Now, when it's open, it's really nice, really deep, punchy. I mean, you can hear it from down the road. You can hear a Subaru coming. And when it is closed, it is a stock STI is driving by. You'll hear a little bit of that rumble from the downpipe, I think, but you really are kind of in stealth mode and you're not attracting too much attention. So would I buy this exhaust again? I would totally buy this exhaust again. Now, with the caveat of, hey, this might need a little bit of help to get it fitted, or this might need a few extra things. This might need a little more attention versus like a normal bolt-on exhaust. But I think having the adjustability, the exhaust valves are open, you hear a really nice low rumble. It doesn't hurt your ears, or it's not insulting. And I think the biggest thing is a lot of exhausts, they'll like vibrate the cabin really bad, but this does not have that. You get the volume and you get the sound, but you don't get any of the drone associated, which is really awesome. Now, when it is closed and you're driving at highway speeds, it is almost completely silent. You do not hear any exhaust noise. You hear just the engine, and I have a Cobb intake, and you hear just the engine and intake. So when you're just going on a road trip, it's really nice to be able to close the valves and kind of go in just comfort mode. Exhaust droning or rumbling is absolutely, in my opinion, not an issue at all. So that is really awesome.